Hello everyone, this is Jeff Meacham here. Thank you for tuning in to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and MySpace and YouTube. I'm not my usual chipper self today, and I'll tell you why. Well, a couple things. First of all, I'm gonna say this slow so you can understand it, okay? I know reading's a hard concept for many of you out there. Aaron has posted it. I've posted it. Questions. I've said it. And questions go to myspace.com/Jeff Meacham, my inbox only, the JD Meach1, M-E-A-C-H, the number 1, JD Meach1 at yahoo.com. YouTube, JD Meach1 at yahoo.com, comment, or my MySpace inbox. Bored, okay? Please. I would go on my knees, but I'm in a park and there's sand and it's gross. Or, I'm not going to answer questions on my comment board. I'm not going to answer questions off the YouTube comment board. MySpace. If you're putting questions there, expecting them to get answered, and then you watch a show and go, that fat fuck didn't answer my questions. Well, guess what? This fat fuck doesn't care. Comment. Put the questions where they belong. Bored. Seriously. Okay. Alright, this is from Chris. He wants to know why WWE is still using the spinner belt even though John Cena is no longer champion. Well, if you notice, the belt doesn't spin anymore. The WWE stays stationary. So it's not really the spinner belt anymore. But I understand what you're saying, the same style of belt. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't go back to the traditional belt when Randy Orton was champion, or now that Triple H is champion. I think they should. I like the undisputed version of the belt. I thought it was a great looking belt. I have that belt myself at home. It's a great belt. The spinner belt is more hip, I guess, and Vince likes, being modern, being hip with the times, being cool with the peeps, yo, so I guess that's why he's using it. I think that they should go back to using the traditional belt, though. I think if they're going to have a traditional champion like Triple H or Randy Orton or whoever's going to be champion, if Cena wins the belt back at Night of Champions, then by all means, they use the spinner belt, whatever floats his boat. But if they're not going to have Cena win the belt back, then go back to the traditional title. That's just my opinion. This is from an old friend from the XMV days, Hail Shane. He's got a couple of different questions. First one is my thoughts on the announcer situation in WWE. JBL was a good color commentator, but he's moved back into the wrestling side of things. And my thoughts on Mick Foley and Mike Adamle. I thought JBL was the best announcer they had, color commentator-wise. He was. If they'd have paired up JR with JBL, that probably would have been the best announce team we've seen in a long time. JBL had to carry SmackDown when he was a SmackDown announcer because Michael Cole's terrible. I've said that forever that Michael Cole's terrible. He's ridiculous. JR and the King are a great team. They always have been. They're phenomenal. You can't go wrong with JR and the King. ECW-wise, let's talk about Mike Adamle. Not a big fan of Mike Adamle. I liked him on American Gladiators 15 years ago. Excuse me. But, I'm not sure how I feel about him doing ECW. He's not very knowledgeable about wrestling. That's obvious. That's painfully obvious every week. And if it's a gimmick, if he's faking, at this point, stop it. Please stop it. WWE, tell him it's okay to know about the product. You don't have to look stupid to get over. Believe me, I look stupid and I still get over, but that's beside the point. And Mick Foley on SmackDown, Mick Foley's very knowledgeable about the business. He knows a lot about the business. He's been in the business for, 20 years, so he knows what he's talking about and all that. But, I can't really get into him as an announcer. I honestly thought they had the best thing going for SmackDown when they had Michael Cole and JBL, because they complemented each other. Cole is still a dipshit, whatever. He's not very good, but he and JBL complemented each other very well. And I feel that Foley and Cole don't do that. And I feel that, Joey Styles was better on ECW than Mike Adamle, obviously. But Joey's doing his thing with WWE.com now. He's hitting up WWE.com now. More power to him. He got a promotion. Good for him. The announcing situation in WWE, it's fair. Compared to TNA, it's great. Because TNA has two play-by-play commentators. That's it. Mike Tenay, who's phenomenal. I love Mike Tenay. He's great, but he's not a good play-by-play guy. He's a better color commentator back when Nitro used to be him and Shivani, and well, even though Shivani wasn't very good, and the Brain. Tenay is better in that secondary role, not the play-by-play role. And don't get me started on fucking Don West and his infomercial voice. Oh my god. If anybody needs to be shot doing wrestling besides you people being forced to watch this show, it's Don West. Seriously. Levy Payne wants to know my thoughts on One Night Stand, which is traditionally the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, excluding the ECW champion. Was Kane on One Night Stand? He wasn't. That's right. Huh. I don't know why. That's a very good question. You would think the Extreme Champion would be on the Extreme pay-per-view in some sort of match. But they had the match to determine the number one contender for the ECW title, the Singapore Kane match, which Big Show won. Paid a price for it, though. Did you see his eye? That was ugly. I haven't seen an eye that ugly since I got a sunburn really bad when I was like 5. My eye swelled like this big. It swelled shut. It was horrible. I couldn't see out of this eye for like 3 days. That was ugly. But Big Show's eye was just as ugly because he had a big old gash over his eye and then his eye swelled up. That's fucked up. Steel steps to the eye is not fun. Do not, they say it all the time, do not try this at home. There's an example right there. That wasn't supposed to happen. Morrison took out his knee, he fell into the steps and busted himself open. That's fucked up. A couple of questions from Jeff Atwood. Should WWE or TNA hire former WCW star Alex Wright? For those of you who don't remember Alex Wright from about, he last appeared about 8 years ago on WCW television, right before the end of WCW. The Wonder Kid, Das Wonder Kid, whatever you want to call him. He's the one that did the dance where he went like this and went back and forth, kind of, like that. He teamed with Disco Inferno for a while. He was television champion. He was cruiserweight champion. He was world tag team champion with Disco. To my knowledge, he's in Nuremberg, Germany, as a fitness instructor and a banker. So I don't think you'll see either company hire him back to wrestling. I know he has, I guess he has a wrestling school in Germany called The Right Stuff. For Alex Wright, The Right Stuff. But I don't see him working for the WWE or TNA in the very near future at all because he's in Germany. And Jeff Atwood also wants to know my thoughts on David Arquette being WCW champion. Oh, I've been waiting for this one. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. Honestly, at the time that Arquette was champion, WCW was on its deathbed, and that's the truth. Despite what Vince Russo will tell you, despite what the guys working for WCW at the time will tell you, there was no hope for WCW by that point. There was no hope in '99 for WCW. 2000 was just more nails in the coffin. David Arquette being champion was what it was. It was a opportunity for WCW to grab some mainstream publicity, negative or not, because Russo will tell you there is no such thing as bad publicity, and that's true to a certain extent. I like the fact that he donated his check to the families of Owen Hart and Darren Drozdoff and Bobby Duncan Jr. and Brian Pillman. I thought that was cool. I think that he made a better champion than a lot of guys did in the dying days of WCW. He had more credibility as far as being a person, being a genuine human being, than a lot of those guys working for WCW did. And the guys working for TNA or WWE now that used to work for WCW do. That's my opinion. Daft Partier. Alright. Wants to know, will Jeff Jarrett ever return? There was talk he was going to be at Sacrifice. And he wasn't on the pay-per-view. He was there, obviously, but he wasn't on the show itself. I think Jeff Jarrett's time in front of the camera has come to an end. And I think that's okay. Jeff Jarrett accomplished a lot as a character. He was USWA champion a couple times, multiple times. He was WWF Intercontinental champion, European champion, and tag team champion with Owen Hart in Owen's last days with us. He was WCW champion a few times. He was US champion a few times. He was NWA champion, I believe, 6 times. Makes him a 10-time champion. I think he's a 10-time world champion overall. 6 NWA, 4 WCW. I'll have to check that. But But, you know, the guy lost his wife last year, and that's got to be harder than anybody. I can't imagine losing a member of my family that's so close to me like that and being able to go on performing in front of the people. I applaud him for coming back at one point and doing the feud with Robert Roode and coming back and helping out Eric Young when he did. But I don't think he's going to be on camera anymore, and I think that needs to be okay for the Jarrett fans. I think Jarrett fans need to realize he's gone through a lot and he needs to have a break, and that's okay. Adam and our buddy Greg Cherry want to know about the draft. Will the draft be a good thing or a bad thing, and who will benefit from the draft? The draft is always a good thing. It always shakes things up. In WWE, it always gives talent a chance to move to the different shows, and it gives them an opportunity to be showcased at a different stage. It's still WWE stage, but it's a different platform as far as Raw, SmackDown, or ECW. As far as who will benefit, it really depends who gets drafted, who moves where. I will answer that question better after the draft is over in a couple weeks, because you'll get a better sense of who's drafted. You'll see who's drafted on that episode of Raw, and we'll find out who goes where, and I'll be able to answer that question a lot better. So I will keep that question, Greg Cherry, on the pad right here, and when the draft is over, I will come back to it, I promise. Last one today is from Half Man, Half Amazing. No, it's not MVP. The guy's name is just Half Man, Half Amazing. You guys in your MySpace names love it. My name is just Jeff Meacham. You know, Aaron's just NoDQ.com's Aaron Rift. That's whatever. Considering the crappy product being presented by WWE and TNA and fans feeling nostalgic toward WCW, do you think WWE would ever revive WCW as a fourth brand? Well, there's a similar question. I'm gonna do it on the next. You know, I'll do it this show. From Myth Unrateable about WWE reviving WCW instead of ECW. No, I don't think that's a good idea, and I'll tell you why. For 4 years after the death of ECW, the people were still chanting for ECW. People still wanted to see ECW matches. They wanted to see ECW wrestlers like the Sandman, like Rob Van Dam, like Tommy Dreamer, like Balls Mahoney, like Sabu, and all those guys. They didn't want to see WCW because WCW left a sour taste in their mouth. The last 2 years of WCW were terrible. 99 and 2000 and the beginning of 2001 were absolutely terrible. And if I was WWE, I wouldn't revive WCW because everybody remembers WCW as a dying name, as a dying product. If they were to revive, if they would have bought WCW in 98 or 99 and had the invasion then, they could have done something. But the problem with WWE buying WCW was they bought it in 2001. They bought 24 contracts with it, the top of which being Booker T. They didn't sign any of the big names. They signed DDP later, but they didn't sign Goldberg or Hogan or Flair or Scott Steiner or Kevin Nash or Scott Hall or any of those guys that made WCW what it was. And WWE fans remember WCW as being owned by Shane and Stephanie. See, the fans are cheering for WCW, but that's not the case. They don't want WCW back. I'm kidding. There's a school right over there. They're having fun over there. I'm not playing with little kids, by the way, Mike or Dusty. I'm not. The kids are way on the other side of the town, but they're just right down the hill so you can hear them. I'm not playing with little kids, I promise, if you will. Anyway. WCW was a dying product when WWE bought it, and reviving that product would be a bad investment for WWE. The fact that they revived ECW and have killed it off pretty much by making it another WWE brand and not be ECW was a bad idea too. I think they have enough roster to go around for 2 shows, not for 3. Tyler, among many, wants to know about The Undertaker's return. The big rumor right now, if memory serves, is he'll be back in time for the wedding. But I'm not entirely sure about that. That's the big rumor, is that he'll be back in time to disrupt Edge and Vicky's wedding on July 11th or whatever it is on SmackDown. Which makes sense. He should. He shouldn't be banished. I think it's a stupid storyline. If he's hurt, that's cool. Give him time off. That's great. But, you know, honestly, Undertaker, I love Undertaker. He's one of my all-time favorites, if not he's my current favorite right now in WWE. He has been for the past couple years. But at what point do you sacrifice your health in order to continue to go. Undertaker's been hurt more often than he's been healthy the last 4 years. He's constantly taking time off to heal up injuries, and I think that by WrestleMania 25 in Houston, Texas, which is his hometown, will be his retirement WrestleMania. If he comes back sooner than that, great. If he beats Edge's ass and gets the world title back, great. If that plane stops making noise, even better. I can't even see it because there's trees above my head, but the plane's up there. God damn it. I don't know. Undertaker should retire, but he won't until the time is right, and I think the time will be right by WrestleMania next year. So we'll see. If you guys want to see Jeff Meacham live and in person, I don't know what I'm going to be doing this Saturday at Epic War in Newhall, the American Legion Hall, Post 507, 24527 Spruce Street, the corner of 11th and Spruce in Newhall. Just take San Fernando Road off the 14 freeway, heading north off the 5. But I will be there in some capacity. 8 teams of 3 will be competing in a 3-man team tournament to crown the first ever Epic War Tag Team Champions. You come to kids, if you will. And in addition to that, there's going to be a triple threat match, a 3-way dance for the Epic War Championship. Johnny Suave, Marcus Wright, and Less Than Perfect LTP will be competing. And in an I Quit street fight where there's no DQ, no time limit, falls count anywhere, and fans supply the weapons. My boss, Gary Yap, who's been on this show before, the special edition of Talk Wrestling we did with Gary Yap's website, will face the modern-day warrior, Charles Mercury. I expect a lot of blood, I expect a lot of gore, I expect a lot of hurt bones and skin and everything being very bad for Gary and Charles. They're both going to get hurt, no doubt about it. And the kids are after my show. I hate kids. I love my son, but I hate kids. Now, I got an email on MySpace from somebody who was defending me, and I appreciate that. Again, people are commenting about my weight. It's a very simple solution. I go to the gym, I hit the weights, I hit the treadmill, I do everything I can, but I'm fat. If you don't like the fact that I'm fat, if you don't like the fact that I wear a baseball cap, if you don't like the fact that I wear wrestling t-shirts, or my sunglasses, or my little Bluetooth here because I have to wait for a phone call from my house wondering if my baby's okay, don't watch the show. That's simple. You don't like me, nobody's sitting there with a gun to your head saying you will watch Talk Wrestling, or I will blow your head off. No. Nobody's doing that to you, I promise. And if there are, let me know, and I will handle it with the proper authorities. Let me know if you're being held hostage watching this show, because that's against the law, people. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and either keep watching or don't. Thank you. That's it for this show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, don't watch again. It's as simple as that. I said at the top of the show, and I meant it. You guys don't like the fact that I'm fat. You guys don't like the fact that I'm, wearing a baseball cap or wearing my stupid little Bluetooth or wearing my sunglasses or wearing wrestling shirts. Nobody's forced you to watch. But I appreciate you if you do enjoy the show. I appreciate you going to NoDQ.com and reading all the news and updates from there. I appreciate you going to my MySpace in my inbox and leave me questions, or my Yahoo email and leave me questions. But for those of you that can't understand that, fuck off. And again, that's just my opinion. See you next time.